All right, I just did my first drop off with Amazon Relay for another company that is not for my own account. And it's been kind of hectic. Had a bit of a hectic start. I guess everybody does. Once I stop, I'll go over exactly what went wrong. I'm on my way to my second stop right now. And then I literally have like 3 pallets left, 3 half partial pallets left. It's gonna be 34 miles to the next location because I'm about an hour away from Richmond. And once I'm heading back towards Richmond right now, so it's pretty decent 3-way trip. Like I said, this is giving me great experience on getting the Amazon system down packed for my own account. And once I get in my own account, then I'll be fully vetted on how the process goes and how quick I need to be and how to deliver and everything. So it's actually pretty cool. I got to get my AC fixed too because my truck is hot, and I don't want to turn that AC on until I get that clutch fixed. But yeah, it's been going pretty good. I can't complain. I had a little hiccup as soon as I left the facility, the Amazon facility. Luckily, I was able to fix it. But like I said, I'll go over that as soon as I stop. Once I finish for good and I'm done for the day, then I'll stop and go over exactly what went wrong. Because, man, I tell you, when something can go wrong, it will. It will in the craziest way. But yeah, so I'm on my way to my next location. I'm running behind like crazy, but there's nothing I can do about that. I'm almost an hour away from the next location. I was supposed to be done around 7:30. It looks like I'm gonna be pushing into 8:20-ish, somewhere around there. So, but we'll see. You know, it's my first run. They'll just have to deal with it, but everything's gonna get delivered, so. Okay, I just finished with the last load, and oh my goodness. It wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. It was pretty decent, pretty cool, wasn't that hard. First of many. So I'm gonna go ahead and head home, and I guess we'll get into story time of what actually happened. I'll go over the details of what happened in my first load. Okay, YouTube family, I am back at home, finished my first run. Things went pretty good, so story time. I guess everybody tends to have a bad first experience with Amazon Relay, and mine's was, it was kind of crazy itself. Things happened that I didn't expect to happen. So I get to the facility, we're probably 20 minutes before I actually have to be at the dock from what the app says. And I get to the guard gate, and the guard just let me right through. And I was like, wait a minute, that can't be right, because I've watched enough videos on Amazon Relay. I know I'm supposed to get a badge. Maybe he's supposed to give me a badge, but no, I know I'm supposed to get a badge. So I drive up, pull my truck out the way, and I go inside to, I go back to the guard shack and say, hey, you know, here's my information. What door am I at? What am I supposed to do? And he's like, oh yeah, you're at door 238, based on my information that I gave him. And you have to go up to the front and get a badge. So I'm like, okay, where's the front? No marking anywhere. There's literally like no marking anywhere on the building of where to go and what to do. Maybe that's security reasons, I don't know, but there's no markings. So I go to the front where I encounter a woman behind the glass that's gonna give me my badge. So I'm like, okay, cool, this is what I gotta do. So I start the process, I give her my ID, and she starts working on the process of getting my badge. 2 minutes go by, 5 minutes go by, 10 minutes go by, and I go up to her, I'm like, ma'am, is this gonna take long? Because I got my truck in the back and it's on right now, because I thought I was just gonna give her my name, she's gonna write it down, hand me a visitor badge. No, I swear, it was like she was building the badge back there. I see tape, I see scissors, I see glue. It's like she's got a whole construction project going on back there. She's literally putting together a badge, okay? And I'm just like, wow. Okay, she said, you have a problem because they have you listed as something else as well. Granted, I already have my own Amazon account, and I'm actually going under another company's Amazon Relay account as a driver. So she says she had to wait for that system to shift me over to the driver of this other company that I'm actually working with right now. So it took altogether another 20 minutes. When she gave me my badge, it looked like a ransom note. It looked like she literally put it together. I see my name, I see tape, I see cutting, pasting. It's like, Bezo, why is it like that? Why don't you have an easier way to get a badge, a visitor badge at that? It's not like it's my personal badge. To people that are coming to your facility, there should be a much easier way to do that. So I get in my truck and I go park at dock 238. That's the dock that I'm at. I hop out the truck. One guy had just left. I hop out the truck and there's literally nobody out there. There's not one sign saying, hey, this is the door you need to be at. Nothing. So I'm like, I literally sat out there for like 6-7 minutes running around like, do you see me on camera? Do you see a guy just running around on camera? Somebody should say something and say, hey, this guy looks lost or something. But no, nothing. Then somebody opened one of the bay doors and I finally ran over and said, hey, where am I supposed to go? She's like, oh, go to that door. What door? I see 5 doors. Which one? You got to tell me which one. She says, I'll come open the door for you. So she comes to the door. I didn't know that particular door wasn't locked because they all look locked. I tried a bunch of them. I think I skipped over that one because I had failed so many times before in the other doors. So I go inside. She says, you got to tap your badge to get into the turnstiles. I get in there and I say, hey, I don't know what I'm doing. So can you, help me out, get me through the process or whatever. And she was a peach. She helped me understand what I was supposed to do, how I was supposed to load, which I knew how I was supposed to load. But the scanning process was a little weird because there's so many barcodes, and then she's telling me I see a pallet full of loose items, and she says you got to scan each one, but you also got to scan each one of those. And I'm like, scan each one of these and then each one of the boxes? No, not each one of the boxes, the pallet itself. Well, you got to specify because I see a lot of barcodes on there. So I ended up scanning the loose pallets first, and then scanned the big pallets, and then started loading. So I'm like, cool. She like I said, she helped me out a whole bunch. So I was grateful. About to start raining. I was grateful that she did that. So I'm loaded. I'm ready to go. Oh, that's another thing. So she says go open the bay door. I go to the bay door, and there's all these gadgets and lights and reds and greens, and I'm like, how? And she walks over and just pulls the door up with a cord. I'm like, all this technology you have around this door, and you got a pull cord to open the door? Okay, granted. Then she says you got to lift up the ramp. Once again, I see this box. I'm like, what's the ramp? How do you, right there, the button's right there. Right, which one? It's a little button that has a ramp on it. That's the button. I'm like, what? That one? Okay, so I start pressing it, finally get the ramp up. I see the ramp, but it's so small. It's a small button. I'm like, what? Okay, that's out the way. I'm loaded, I'm ready to go. Okay, so after that, if you recall in a previous video, if you watched it, if anybody watched it, I talked about the way my fender over here, it makes a sound when I turn the wheel extremely sharp. So when I initially drove to the facility, I did hear that sound, and I was like, oh my God, I forgot to trim that piece out so I wouldn't hear that sound because the tire's a little bit bigger. Well, it's not really that much bigger, but the way the fender is sitting, it pushes out a little bit. So when you turn hard, as the corner of the tire gets to it, it rubs up against it. So I'm like, okay, when I get home, I'm gonna take care of that issue because I completely forgot about it, dealing with the tags and everything. I completely forgot about it. I go to pull off from the dock, and next thing you know, I hear this loud groan coming from the left side of the vehicle, and it's the fender. So I'm like, oh my God, what's going on? It's really loud this time. So I back the truck up to try it, because I hear that it's kind of like got tucked up a little. So I was like, okay, all I gotta do is back up and I can move over and I can bend it out the way. But every time I moved, it would snatch the fender right back up. So I'm like, oh my God, what is going on? How did this happen? Why is this happening?
I was able to peg leg up out where the trucks drive, and I was able to turn the corner, but I really couldn't go any further because it was growling and groaning so loud that, and it's metal, so it has the ability to pop the tire. So I sat right there and I'm looking around the truck and I'm like, oh my God, how am I gonna fix this? I have no tools in this truck, absolutely no tools. So I'm sitting there trying my best to bend it back by hand, and because the metal, it's a pretty chunky piece of metal, so I was trying to bend it back and force it back into the position it was before, but it just wasn't going. So I'm looking around the truck, and the previous day I was putting up the ELD, and I had my zip ties out, and I was zip tying some of the things here, and I couldn't find my scissors. So I went ahead and got my trusty HVAC metal shears to cut the zip ties. Overkill, definitely, but just the right tool for the day. These bad boys saved my butt, okay? I was actually able to cut the fender because it's fiberglass. It's not metal, but even if it was metal, these could do it. So if I would have had the scissors, which are an industrial pair of scissors, I would have had to stab the thing a whole bunch of times to get it right. But because I had these bad boys, man, let me tell you, I was able to cut the fender and get the piece out the way. And let me show you what that piece looks like. This is the piece that I had to cut out the way, okay? And it sits, the tire's right here, and this sits as the back of the fender. And it had folded up pretty much underneath the truck. Let me show you what that looks like. So that piece pretty much folded up and was rubbing up against the tire, and there's pretty much nothing I could do about it because as I was trying to bend it back, it wouldn't go. So luckily I was able to get the metal shears up in around here and was able to cut down and cut over and actually clear that part. So now I have more than enough clearance. And it's because the bolts up here were loose too. I don't know if you can see that. There's pretty much nothing I could do about that, especially while I was out on the road. Now, once I got that piece out, it was kind of smooth sailing from there. That was the brunt of my hiccups for my first Amazon load. After that, I went to the first post office. It was a very nice, large post office. You could, very visible. You can see that it's a post office. I was able to drop the majority of that particular load, dropped off right there, good to go. The second post office, because of Amazon's crappy GPS, it actually took me past, like, it wanted to put me a quarter mile past the post office. Luckily, I seen the post office. It was a smaller one, but I seen it as I passed it. So I was able to turn back around, which, you know, it's a pain to turn these trucks around on rural roads. And then the third post office was basically a house. I mean, it was this tiny little thing, and as I passed it, the GPS said, "You're here," and it was correct. But when I was looking around, it was so small, and the building was so small, it looked like a little brick house. So I had to turn around and come back into that one as well, because I passed it as well. But other than that, you know, it was a good first experience with Amazon. I'm looking for my own loads right now. Like I said, I'm doing this for another company, but I'm looking for my own loads right now. The second I find my own load, now I know what to do. I know how to go get my badge. I know how to prioritize the load shipment, and of course drop it off is the easy part. It honestly is. It's the easy part. So yeah, it was just a crazy first run, and I guess everybody has them. It's actually raining on me right now, but yeah, this particular pallet jack, if anybody's looking for a decent pallet jack, I got this at Harbor Freight. It's a decent pallet jack. It works like a pallet jack should. I didn't have any problems with it. It lifted the loads and drove just as fantastic. You probably can hear the rain, sorry for the noise. All right, I just made my first delivery here in Charlottesville. Got my nice bright lime green shirt on. I had to buy it this morning because I forgot that I didn't have it. She said she wouldn't let me back in without one. So luckily there was a truck stop literally right down the street. So I'm here in Charlottesville, and the ladies that I just delivered off to, they told me my next stop happens to be very hard to find. The post office is small, and it's on the side of a mountain, which sounds fantastic. She said you got to back into it really weird, so I might be using my lift gate if I can't, well,
I'm pretty sure I can back into it, but if it's just too much of a task to back into the place, then I'll just use my lift gate. Good old Charlottesville. Got a big old mountain sitting right there. Looks nice. Charlottesville streets are really narrow, especially in the residential areas. So this particular load that I'm doing, I will be doing 2 of them today and Monday. It's technically Saturday. Yeah, it's technically Saturday right now. Lost track of the days. When I wake up early or work overnight, I lose track of my days really fast. Like, look at this hill. Like, geez. This is Charlottesville for you. Everything's on a hill. And this is why I don't like Charlottesville. This road is barely big enough for my truck. How is anybody else going to come through here? Like, look at this. This is crazy. Beautiful, though. Very beautiful. There's some Austin Powers stuff right here. Not as bad getting out as it was getting in. They got to do like a 10-point turn just to get out of this little post office.
Proceed to route. Now make a sharp left and then bear left onto Old Turnpike Road.
Now these are country roads. Look how beautiful that looks. So beautiful. I tell you, this is one thing I do not like about Charlottesville. You're telling me this is a dirt road to get somewhere. This doesn't look like a road to get anywhere but further back into nowhere. But the Amazon GPS is saying this is the way I'm supposed to go. Google will be no different. Look at those beautiful sun-kissed mountains.
Now turn left.
Didn't I just come from that direction? So I gotta go right back that direction? Like out here, I'm scared. Like these are the back roads
After
of Charlottesville.
1.5 miles, turn right.
These are the back roads of Charlottesville. It's like, there's barely anything out here. It's rural as I don't know what. The roads are lackluster for these big trucks. I've had to drive tractor trailers back in these parts before. On the side of mountains on dirt roads. It's the weirdest thing ever. I guess eventually I'll get back to regular roads and then the highway, because I got about 78 miles to get to the next location. Look, even when I'm 70 miles away from my house, I hear lawnmowers cutting as soon as I cut on the camera. It always happens. So I just made it to the last stop. At this particular post office, the lift gate, the lift doesn't work at this particular post office, so I actually got a chance to use my lift gate today. So I guess I'll go ahead and, of course I gotta load my pallet jack back up. Lucky it's aluminum. So that's it on another adventure of Amazon Relay. I think after next week, I'm gonna start looking for other types of loads. I don't mind this, but I don't want to beat this to death. So I think next week I want to try a different type of load, maybe a no-touch freight, somewhere where I drive out a little bit. But yeah, it's pretty fun. Made some decent money today. So I guess that's it for this video. Any questions, any comments pertaining to this subject matter, you know, shoot it in the comment section. I'll try and get whatever answers I can to you. But I guess I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.